Everyone, Dakota23 here. So this is a reaction video to Dark's recent video about um, is VR still alive? So my views on VR, especially now with like the newer consoles out, um, do I think it's still alive? Yes, but as someone commented on his video, it has a niche audience. Um, Because not everyone can afford VR headsets. I mean, I've had my Oculus Rift for probably, quite a while now, probably over a year. And I enjoy VR a lot. I do. I don't have, I've got quite a few VR games. I think if I look at my Steam library here, I have 20 VR games. Majority, actually, all of them are shooters, except for Blade and Sorcery and DCS Worlds. Um, those are all the VR games I have. I think the issue with that we're not seeing like a lot of VR games coming out, which I'm actually looking on um, Steam's library right now, see if there's anything crazy coming out or anything new, is that with VR, it's a whole different type of game because when you're playing just a regular quote unquote 2D game or just a game on your computer or PlayStation or console or whatever you play on, you just it's just focused on the game and it has its like 3D elements in there. It has its depth of field in there. I'm gonna say not like true 3D where stuff's like popping out at you like as in VR where you've got a good feel of depth. You've got interactability with everything. I think that's the thing with VR now. With VR is that it's just harder for game companies to make a VR game because of everything that goes into making a VR game, depending on how interactable you want it to be. So if you look at games like Boneworks, that's Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx are the two most interactable games, like physically interactive games with the environment. Boneworks definitely does a lot more with the character physics, like your legs will run into stuff. Like if you're climbing something, you have to like crouch to be able to get up on something because of how your legs react. Half-Life Alyx, you definitely have a lot more interactability with the environment, and you're going to be you're picking up and moving almost everything around. Um, and then you've got games like Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades, where the overall environment there's still a lot of interactability with it, but it's more scaled down and more focused on the gunplay and the couple melee weapons they have in there, which I enjoy. H3VR, which is Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades. That's a fun game. And then you have like other games like Survive. It's a zombie VR game, which is fun. Not a major interactability. I mean, you can interact with the environment. A lot of stuff you can interact with. But again, that's more focused on like the gunplay and the melee weapons as well. And then you've got like your fun games like Pistol Whip and Beat Saber, which are just basically, you know, staying in the beat. And Beat Saber goes into one of my games. It's not a shooter. Like your Pistol Whip and Beat Saber, basically like your Guitar Hero-ish DDR type games, Dance Dance Revolution. For those of you that don't know. Um, but yeah, I think like the biggest thing with VR, I still feel it's alive. It's just it's a um, harder thing for developers to make. One, because that niche is so small, whereas you're not sure how many people are going to be actually playing. Um, I'm sure there's probably some analytics into how many people own Oculus, HTC, the Valve Index, all the different systems. I'm sure there's analytics in that, and that depends on like how big of these companies want to make VR. Now, somebody that made a good VR, the creators of Ace Combat, uh, the recent Ace Combat game, they had a small VR section in there, which I played on PlayStation 4, and their VR was actually a pretty. It was a really simple VR. You use your controller to move to control your jet fighter just like you would in game, but looking around, you look around with your headset, and you don't have like that option to change your view. You're stuck in the cockpit. So that's a very simple thing to do with VR, and they did it well. Like that's something that I feel like other um, companies could do. Maybe driving games. I don't know. That'd be different. Driving games would be an interesting thing to see. Ace Combat, like I said, they did a really good job with it. Um, I would have liked to have more than just, I think it was like 3 missions, but there's 4 different aircraft, so that would have been nice. But like I said, there's a lot of small details that you have to do, that developers have to do in VR if they want it to be highly interactable. And with how early the VR systems are out now, we're not at like the Ready Player One level yet, but I feel like one day we'll be there. I still feel like VR is alive, but as I said, there is a niche for this type of gaming, and it's just not everyone's at that level yet. Where VR is going to be more mainstream, and it's yeah, like I said, it's not at that level where VR is more mainstream and then everyone's doing VR. Um, but I feel like it will get there eventually, where VR is more accepted. And the thing with VR gaming too is there's a learning curve. Like when I first started playing VR, I could only play it for maybe 30 minutes to under an hour before I got real bad motion sickness. I just had to stop, take off the headset because it's a different sense because your senses aren't used to being in that uh, reality there where you're like where you're moving and stuff, but where stuff is moving around you and everything, and it's coming right at you. Like that's your view. You're in that reality. So I think that's another issue where like these big developers has to work on, like especially with VR games. Like you get so immersed in them that it messes with your mind, and I feel like with how small the VR community is, that a lot of people aren't going to be that, and how long and the amount of time it takes to get used to playing VR is definitely something that's holding back like VR from expanding and uh, bigger name companies from really doing a lot more with VR. But I feel like VR is definitely starting to get there because there have been games that come out. Backtracking a little bit here, there have been games that have come out with VR elements in them. Also, Tomb Raider had some VR in it as well. That was one of my first experiences, and same thing. That was with PlayStation. Like I'm sitting there with the VR headset on, and I'm able to move around using the controller. I also have like the VR controllers as well, and it's just a um, new ground for game developers and everything. So it's going to take time, but I do feel like VR will eventually kick off more. So there are going to be learning curves and everything, but that's just my views on VR. I don't necessarily think it's dead. I just think that the niche is small, it is growing, and VR and until VR headsets are more affordable, and we don't need like higher end computers to be able to play VR smoothly and um, have like these next gen consoles for VR to be more smoothly as well. I feel like it's going to take time, but overall, VR, I don't think it's definitely not dead. Um, Niche is small. It's not as widespread as it can be, and there's um, affordability definitely needs to be there, and just having better feedback and everything with controllers as well in the environment, and just realizing that VR games probably take longer for developers make just because of how much more intricate the world is with everything, as well being interactable, how interactable you want it to be, and how not interactable you want it to be. And just like anything else, like when VR games come out, they're gonna have their bugs, they're gonna have their glitches, so there's gonna be patch stuff. So, but you don't want as many game-breaking bugs in a VR game just due to the fact of how they are. Like, you don't want your character falling through the floor just because virtual reality, when you're falling, like you feel like you're falling, and it's just a mind mess. It messes with your mind. But yeah, these are just my thoughts on VR and everything. Go ahead, hit the like button, hit that subscribe. Hope you all have a good night. Go 23 out.